Ta-da! Hey, good day. How are you folks? Well, hey, this is going to be different. I've got a guest that's working on getting on there. Let's see. He's working his way through. He might be in the digital green room right now. His name is Adam Hook, and he's got a company called SolarPod. It's actually the domain for it is My SolarPod, and it's a unique installation system. I had a chat with him last week, a week before. I can't remember when it was, but I'm going to showcase this a little bit and show it to you. And ideally, what I'm looking for this, because I think it would really help Adam out, is real estate developers, because those are the people that would be installing installation for solar. So I have to do some poking around and try and see if I can find Adam here. He's wandering around the studio somewhere, right? But so let me see. I got my little banner set up here. This is his domain name. If you want to go check out his website, it's mysolarpod.com. That's mysolarpod.com. And let me see. I got another little graphic here that I put out there. You might have saw this in the beginning. It's about real estate developers and how they can save money by using mysolarpod.com. So I'm not wanting to get too much into non-public information until I get permission from Adam to put it out there. I'm going to go with a public domain, and that will be their website, and I can showcase some of that until Adam gets here. So if you're interested and willing, I'm going to share my screen. Let me go about doing this here. Share screen. Share screen. Where the heck is it? Chrome tab. There it is. Boom. So if all works out right now, you should be able to see my screen. And if I click it a little bit bigger, you can see it even better, right? There we go. So this is My SolarPod, your trusted Minnesota solar company. So again, I'm not going to expose some of the methods that that the system uses, but it's a little different. It's actually a lot different than your typical solar installation. And I'm going to have Adam talk about that more when he pops on. What it does, it prevents the roof from being destroyed. So that helps the structure of the actual roofs, and there's less damage that can happen through rain damage and things like that. I think I just saw Adam come on, so you want to hang on a sec. I'm going to pop this out of here. We'll put me back on here. Let me go grab Adam 1 second here. There he is. Hey, Mr. Adam, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I was just giving a little bit of an introduction of what I understood about your solar installation system, but you're the one that really knows about it, so I'm glad you're here to share a little bit more.
Yeah, glad to let you know. I got some models here, some props. People like props, don't they?
It's always good to have some props.
Yeah, right?
Props. But this is the little header that I had created for this because I think that it's important that real estate developers see something like this because, you know, they develop multiple locations or multiple, developments.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these individual houses could save money on each individual house. And when you've got hundreds of houses in a development, they could save a significant amount of money by utilizing your unique installation system. So I kind of just shared a little about that before.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So last night, I was in the training for MRES, which is Minnesota Renewable Energy Society.
Uh-huh.
And they had a presenter there that was part of a solar co-op. And so solar co-op is just like what you're talking about. So if it's not the developers themselves, then the co-ops, what they do is they bring in neighbors that all want solar, and then they're able to get it at a negotiate a little bit better price. And so there's something in business that people are familiar with, which is cost of customer acquisition or customer acquisition costs. And so when we're talking about having a whole neighborhood where you have, many levels of houses, then we don't have to have so much advertising to each individual house. We could just as well do the neighborhood, and we could give everybody a better price on that sort of installation.
Yeah, seeing you in the neighborhood, might as well do a couple of them, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we already got a truck right there, right? So just load up the truck with more materials and slap a few more of these on the roof, Yeah, it's kind of a fun thing about solar, and not a lot of people know this term, but in the industry, they call installing solar, you know what the term for it is? Want to make a guess?
Solar installation?
They call it slapping glass. That's the term. So slapping the glass on the roof, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of a weird term. You'd think it would break or something, but that's what they call it.
I got to pull it up on my phone. This is my little monitor on my phone to see that everything is coming through on the good old Facebook and all that kind of stuff.
There you go.
Because you never know how it's actually showing up. Right now we're broadcasting on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And then what we can do is repropagate the YouTube videos out to some people that might be able to utilize your service here. Yeah,
that'd be awesome. So here, if you don't mind, I'm just going to show you some models here. So
there it is. Yes. Okay. I didn't want to expose too much because I didn't know what was priority information or proprietary. How do you say proprietary? Or people don't want. You don't want to expose it, but so if you expose it, it's exposable, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Well, all right. So this is a model here. It's 3D printed. You want to make a guess what house this is? You've seen this house before?
No.
So this right here is the Simpsons house.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So anyway, I 3D printed it. And what we're talking about here is we're talking about installing solar. And this is a good illustration of the concerns that people have when they're installing. And this is important to homeowners, and it's important to developers, clearly, because what happens here is that these are the challenges that affect the life of the product in itself. So when you're installing solar, usually what you're trying to do is you're trying to hit these. So these right here are analogous to a roofing joist.
Oh yeah.
Right. And that's what supports the OSP board, and then you have a underlayment, and then you have the shingles, right? So you have composite shingles. And so when they install it, what's used to seeing right here is, they just install it like this, and they do that by putting holes in, and they put holes in. Usually it's 4 holes for every kilowatt. Now that right there is not entirely true in windy areas. So if you're in a hurricane zone area or just an area that has high winds, then there's a different set of rules for those people. And those people, what it is these edge modules here, or there's something called abandoned modules, which is when they are more inside and they're kind of isolated like an island. Mm-hmm. And there's certain ASCE, so American Society of Civil Engineering. They have a code. It's the 7-19, I believe. And what it says is that in certain wind zones, you have to have extra protrusions. You have to have extra mounting on the edge. And there's like a formula that you have to do.
Sure.
And so the major point of it is that if you're an installer, you don't have to worry about that because you have a better solution. You don't have to put any holes in the roof. Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah. How the heck do you do that? Magnets?
How do we do that? So we have again, it looks pretty similar, but what we do is we have a racking system. Now this right here is not to scale. I made this a bit more robust just for the sake of a model. But what happens here is that the racking system, we just put it on the top. And I know what you're thinking. Most people ask the same question. They say, well, what about strong winds? Isn't it just going to blow off, be a kite, fly away?
That's what I was thinking.
Right? That's what a lot of people think. And that's fair, right? Well, the point of it is that we have to think about what causes things to lift. And what does it cause to lift? It's a wind pressure differential. And so if you think about Bernoulli's principle, you have more air pressure underneath and you have less on top. And what it does is it creates lift.
Like
so
an
the way that
airplane.
we're able to keep this on here is that we have a skirt that prevents wind from getting underneath. That's the first thing. Second thing is it's cantilevers. So as this part starts to move up, it pushes in on the other side of the roof. It doesn't cause damage. It just creates a secure point. And so there's a coefficient of friction there. So it keeps it on there.
So it sort of grabs, if it's pushed more, it grabs more?
Yeah, correct.
Cool.
As it tries to lift it, it actually becomes more secure on the other side. And then there's a third component. And these modules are heavy. I mean, they're not terribly heavy individually, but when you have a network of them like this, they're all about 30 pounds or so. You know, this guy back here, I think this is about 25, 30 pounds. So imagine if you had 20 of them, and then you had racking on top of that. Now you're talking about 700 pounds there, at least. You know, usually installations, when you start talking about as it scales up, now we're talking thousands of pounds. Thousands of pounds don't just lift. They don't just go, you know, float away, right? That's a decent amount of weight. And so these are rated for 130 miles per hour plus the wind. And to put that in perspective, that is hurricane category 4 starts at 130 miles an hour. So usually, you know, you got bigger concerns when you reach that speed.
So the thing is really heavy, but it's spread out over the entire roof, so it's not going to like collapse anything. It's kind of all.
Yes, that's an excellent point. Excellent point. So there's a metric for that, and that metric is pounds per square foot.
Sure.
And so when we're talking about this is a Z-rack solution here. This is called Z-rack, which is where we have it on top of a gabled or a hip roof. That right there is going to be 5 pounds per square foot is what that is. 5 pounds per square foot. Now it's a little heavier than if you were to just have to, you know, mounting brackets to these things.
Mm-hmm.
But the point here is that the roof can absolutely handle that.
So do you ever have a situation where they move a little bit?
Where they shift? No, yeah, it's a coefficient of friction. So what happens here is that you have all this weight that's on it. I mean, if we're talking about a comp shingle, right, composite shingles, mm-hmm. then it's not going to move a lot because it's got an abrasion there. If we're talking about on a metal roof, yeah, I mean, it might shift. I don't know, not a whole lot though. There's really not a whole lot of capability for it to shift. It'd have to be a super strong wind.
That makes a lot of sense. Like if you had a piece of like 1/8-inch sheet steel sitting
mm-hmm.
on a piece of concrete, it's flat, so a tornado could come by, and unless it gets air underneath of it, it's just going to stay there. It can't really.
Correct. Yep. That's what it is.
Let me put your little logo or your website. This is your website, correct? mysolarpod.com.
That is correct. Yeah, it's on this hat too.
There we go.
Yeah. We just got these hats literally, what is it? 4 days ago.
Well, they work kind of like that. There's enough weight there. It holds it on your head.
Yes, correct. You know, this is not rated for 130 miles an hour. The hat isn't, but it doesn't need to be because, you know, that would be a lot of weight or support on my head here. I don't need that.
Now, you're located right here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul area, right?
Yes, we are. We are in Burnsville. And yeah, I mean, it's close enough to Minneapolis. It's close enough to the cities. Traffic.
You do installations all over the country, though, right?
Yes. So we are a licensed installer in Minnesota, and we have qualified installer networks outside. So we have installers that we have vetted and that we trust that install outside the state. Now, I just want to be kind of transparent on some stuff, is that we aren't in every state, though we would love to be in every state. And so something that you're going to find is that, well, more or less, I know this. what I'm finding is that we're getting a lot of inquiries out of state. Massachusetts is a big one. California, Texas is another one. Louisiana, Florida. You know, I mean, there's a lot of the inquiries that we have. You know, we're able to satisfy, but then there's definitely some that we would like to have install partners. So again, just throwing it out there, reaching out. If there is installers watching this, absolutely go to our website, and there is a link that lets you be in contact with us, and then we can contact you and see what we can do for you.
Okay, so yeah, so if there's an installer that's interested in installing your system, they can get a hold of you, and of course you vet them out to make sure that they're good people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was trying to find that one piece here, but we have kind of an interesting story when it comes to our standard product, which is the Z-Rack product, which is the one on the hip roof. That's an interesting product just for the fact that it's not uncommon. In fact, it's kind of a weird situation when I started here. We have competitors that reach out to us. So installers within Minnesota, and they say, we have this metal roof and it's a pitch is too much, and it's outside of what we can do well. So, you know, they refer us business, which is kind of weird. We're not asking for it, but they're just like, well, let's give the guys who actually know what they're doing the work. And so that's kind of an interesting point. Another interesting point is that out of state, we have installers that reach out to us for engineering services because they installed something that just, for lack of a better term, it's falling off the roof. So here we come in and we save our competitors, or we make them look good, and to help us out, you know, they give us some business too. So.
Well, it totally makes sense from a marketing standpoint. Customer service, you take care of your customers, there's more probability that they're going to refer you out to other people. So that's what they've got to do, is take care of their customers, even if it's using their competitors' products, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The customer's not only all right, but you got to have one, because if you don't have a customer, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
So there we go.
So one thing that was kind of fun, and I'm rambling on a lot, and feel free to interrupt me at any point. So last week we went to, myself and the owner of the company, went to NABCEP, which is a continuing education for solar professionals. And what we found is there are some terms that other installers use when they're installing solar the other way, that we don't even use. It's not even part of our vocabulary. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to introduce you to two of those terms, if that's all right. Okay. So there's one term, and it's called hole exploring. Can you make a guess what that is?
I mean, they're looking for the holes in the roof.
Hole exploring. So I'll tell you what that is.
The explorer looking for holes in the roof.
Exactly. What they're looking for is they're looking for the joist. So what they're doing is, when they're trying to find these joists, the way that they try to find these things is that they either look from underneath here and they try to find where there is where the joists are coming through, where they can find that spacing. And a lot of times they can't see it because there's a soffit right there.
Sure.
The other way that they're able to do it, and this is a much more common way, they go on the top of the roof and then they hit it with a hammer and they try to hear it, kind of like when you're trying to find a stud and you're tapping the wall. Well, the problem is it's not very accurate when you do that. And what you tend to find out is that this right here is 1.5 inches thick, right? 1.5 inches thick, 2x4. What you tend to find out is that they're usually anywhere from 1 inch off on either side.
And sometimes bends a little bit.
Yeah, that's the amount of. This is the amount of. Well, here we go. Where they're looking at is it's 1.5 inches plus 1 inch. So you're talking 4.5 inches. So that's the range that they're hitting when they're doing this more often than not. And so that right there, if you're talking about a 1.5 inches plus minus 66%, that's like baseball odds, right? You're missing some swings there. You're missing some hits. Yes. So what happens is the hole exploring is when they put a small hole next to it, and then they have a feeler, like a piece of wire, and they try to
sure.
hit it. Like, hey, where's that thing? I'm poking all these holes in here, right? We never talk about that here at SolarPod,
Right.
right? Because
No
we don't have
hole.
to do that.
No holes
What
to
happens
explore.
is that every single hole that they're trying to do and just explore and try to figure out where things are, every hole is an ingress point. It's a point where there's a leak that could happen.
Right.
I'm not saying that every installer is just, making Swiss cheese of your roof, but at the same point in time, if any of those, you just got to have one hole go bad, one hole not be covered, and that's where you have damage. So again, that's a big thing to consider. The second thing is that there is a term called looking for stars in the attic.
Looking for what?
Looking for stars in the attic.
Aha. So that's you go inside the dark attic and you look and see where the holes are in the sky.
Yes. The ones that weren't covered. Yes. So it's kind of funny. We don't, again, SolarPod, we don't use that term. Yesterday I was talking to some people in front of a large group. This is Renewable Energy Society over there. And I asked a question in front of about 100 people to an installer. And I said, hey, have you heard of these terms? Hole exploring, looking for stars in the attic. And they're like, yes, I know exactly what that is. And because of our reputation, that same person said, but what I do know is that you don't have to do that because you don't put holes in your roof. SolarPod product, no holes. So, yeah.
That's kind of fascinating. I never even thought of something like that would just kind of be sitting there. And it makes sense now that you explain it more. Because initially it's like, don't you have to screw it down somehow? And it does. It damages your roof. And then all of a sudden you got leaks in your attic that come through the ceiling and air can get in there. And yeah, so just sitting on top makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, mold is a concern too, right? So people who have asthma or any kind of issue there, that's just another risk that they have, which is something that's, again, if I had asthma, if I knew anybody had asthma, I'd say, figure out a different way to install solar. If the risk is putting mold in your house, that's just not, it might not be worth it. Because their health is
important. Drilling holes in there if you don't need to.
Exactly. So, and what's kind of neat about this is we're not talking specifically about composite shingles. That's a very common one, of course, in Minnesota and Midwest, that area. But if you're talking about the Southwest, do you know what kind of roofing is popular there?
Isn't it that what do they call it, the tile?
Yeah, it's the tile. And I got a little picture here, right? So we have this kind of stuff here. I'm pointing at the right one. Oh, this one here. Let me see. But yeah, it's the tile.
Yeah, the Spanish tile, I think it's called. Yeah.
Spanish tile, yeah. And so what happens is most solar installers, they absolutely hate that stuff.
Yeah, because they drill into it and it cracks and you got a mess.
And when you walk over it, it damages it. So imagine, if you will, a world where you could install things. You could install the racking on the ground where it's safe, and then just hoist it up, put it on top. Imagine a world if there was such a product. Wouldn't that be interesting in the market? There happens to be a product like that. So, yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a cool thing. And again, it's not just the tiles either. It's not just the composite shingles. We have, well, this doesn't, I don't think this has all of them. There we go. This one right here, it says a concrete roof.
Okay, sure.
How would you install solar on a concrete roof if you have to put holes in?
A masonry bit.
And it would be loud, and it would be aggressive, and it would not be fun.
That's very cool.
Again,
well, Adam, I don't like to do these too long because I want to keep it short enough where people can actually watch it and consume it. So I'm going to kind of close this down, but if you want, we could do some more of these things. This is fascinating to me, that when you see these different inventions and things, it just makes sense, what you're talking about. It's surprising that it hasn't been the way that it was done So is there anything else you want to share? I've got, where the heck is my little graphic? Here's a little graphic. That's what it's about, for real estate developers and co-ops that want to save money by installing a unique solar system. So is there anything else you want to share before we take off? And then I'm going to put you back in the green room and we can have a little conversation.
Yeah,
show's over.
yeah, for sure. I do want to share this too. This is live. Now, people who are seeing this, they might see this after the event happens. We are sponsoring an event weekend in Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Farmers Market. And what's novel about that is that the owner of SolarPod is a vegan and loves supporting the community. So what we're doing is we are doing some food demos at the farmers market, and the farmers market, of course, sells vegetables and things. Mm-hmm. And so it's a collaboration between a popular chef, local chef, and the owner of this company. And we're creating a vegan recipe that I'm helping prepare and giving out samples. And we're going to do those food demos, 2 of them this Saturday at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And this recipe is really something. It's 17 ingredients, and 8 of them are fresh from the market. So definitely recommend checking that out.
Are you going to be doing this again?
Oh, well, I hope so. I mean,
I do too, because I go to the farmers market a lot. Me and the wife go down there and get some things. So we're going up to the North Shore this weekend, so I will miss your event. But I definitely want to know about the event when it's coming up again. Maybe do it more often. I'm an event guy.
Totally.
Well, Adam, I'm going to put you in the green room. If you want to hang on a sec, we can have a chat. Other than that, I'm going to sign this off and beam it up to the universe and propagate it out to the world.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for taking time. Well, that was our friend Adam Hook, and sharing a little bit about this unique solar system. It is a solar system. Revolves around my head. So I hope to have him on again. It's pretty fascinating. So if any of you are interested in My Solar Pod, is what it's called. That's the website right there. And if you're a developer or a solar co-op and you want to get more solar in your area, I think it's a good idea. So that's it for now. Peace, love, and happiness. This is Magic Brad signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. See you later.